Hey, Lee Robinson here from American Sentinel Canine. Just wanted to make another short video on but this video is about crossbreeding dogs and should a person even bother. And the truth, in my opinion, I saw this conversation come up a little bit, but on some other topics. But the people that were talking about it have never actually done anything. You know, they're just people on internet warriors, so to speak. They all have their opinions, but they haven't been doing it. And this is something that I've been doing for 20 years, and I have another 10 years prior to that invested into research before I began. But on breeding, look, as far as crossbreeding or breeding in general, my advice is don't even bother unless you have a long-term goal. Now, if you're breeding a purebred dog, you can do that as a hobbyist, I guess you could say, as long as you select the best that you have access to. And really make sure, when I say you have access to, you go out and find the best that you can. Don't just be lazy and take what your neighbors have. You know, be willing to travel and do what you got to do to find the best of the breed and try to improve the breed. But you can do that and benefit a breed even in one breeding. You know, one breeding, it's possible if you did a really good combination, you could produce something that would be successful or beneficial to the population as a whole. But if you're trying to develop a crossbred dog, a breed, you better plan on spending 30 years invested, at least 20 years. You know, I'm 20 years in, and we're just now, it's taken us 20 years to get, we've had great working dogs along the way, don't get me wrong. We've had a lot of great working dogs, but a breed is not about just a working dog. It's about a type. Establishing a consistent type. And it's taken us 20 years to do that, you know, and we still have some work ahead of us. And when I retire from teaching here in about 2.5 more years, then I actually think we're going to be within a few years of finalizing our product where the consistency is not only something you can observe by looking at the dogs, but it's also something that you will see in terms of testing. The number of dogs, the percentage of dogs. Hey girl, knock it off. What you doing? The consistency of dogs that do what I want them to do is phenomenal. And this takes time. So yeah, 30 years. You're talking about 30 years. I'm 50 years old, and I started this project when I was 30. And I started getting my education on the subject when I was 20. So, you know, is it really something you want to do? Spend 30 years of your life doing something like this. So with that said, let's go ahead and derail the subject and change it to a little bit a different note, and that is what are the goals? What are my goals for the future of our American Sentinel Canine program? And the goal is, honestly, I want to produce the best band dog program that has ever existed in the past or in the present. Now, the only real competition our program is going to have, in my opinion, is the American Pit Bull Terrier. And some people might say, well, that's not a band dog. It's a dog that when it's released from its leash, it catches man or beast. My venue is about protection dogs. So when I say my competition, I mean, I don't think there's another program out there now that can compete with the number of proven dogs that we have produced in terms of catching hogs or doing protection work. Over the 20 years that we've been breeding, we've produced about 1,000 dogs. And out of those 1,000 dogs, the number of dogs that are catching hogs or that are doing man work is far too high for me to keep track of. I mean, there's just so many out there. Now, the YouTube videos, of course, that's something one can count. But just like everybody else, I don't spend my life making YouTube videos. And I certainly don't ask my clients to make YouTube videos of dogs unless they want to breed. If they want to breed, then they have to prove their dogs are capable of it, because that's what the American Sentinel Canine Registry requires, that no dogs are bred unless they are proven. So, anyway, just a few thoughts on the subject. If you want a good dog and you're not willing to invest 20 years in 20 or 30 years into developing a fine-tuned product, then purchase a dog from somebody that's invested that. That's my honest advice. So you might think, well, Lee, that's crazy because that's not what you did. You're right, it's not what I did. But remember I said, unless you're willing to invest 30 years. See, I was willing to invest 30 years. And not only was I willing to invest 30 years, look at my facility. I mean, I've got a lot of kennels. I got 5,000 square feet of kennel space. Just this slab alone, just this slab is 3,400 square feet and 40 grand, 40,000 bucks just invested into this. So if you're not willing to do that, you know, you might want to just decide to be a client of whether it's me or somebody else. This is not intended to be a sales pitch. This video is intended to save your time. Y'all have a blessed day.